to a YouTube channel near you.
Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. I am Althea, and I could not be happier to wish you a happy new year and welcome you to tonight's show. So 2026, oh my goodness. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I have been having the hardest time this week keeping track of what day is it already? It's like, oh wait, Thursday. In fact, it was funny yesterday. Chris Grizzly had sent me a text saying, "Aren't you on?" And I thought, oh my God, it's Thursday. I forgot it was Thursday. And I scurried upstairs and came to my computer and went to sign on and nothing was working. And I was like, wait a minute. It's not Thursday. It's only Wednesday. But I guess with having the holidays the way they are in the middle of the week, it just was very confusing all around. So, anyway, I hope you guys had a little bit more clarity. I hope you all enjoyed whatever wonderful holidays you celebrated. For those of you that were alone or feeling overwhelmed, I hope you made it through okay. You know, if you're watching us now, you did. Good for you. You know, I know holidays are one of those tricky things. They can either be amazing and joyous and so filled with excitement, or it can just be like, I just got to get through, right? And so you made it through. We're in the new year, 2026. Oh my God. I can't even believe how fast 2025 went by, right? So the format for the show, for anybody who's new to tuning in, first of all, welcome. And welcome back to all y'all that have tuned in before. I really appreciate it. And before I get any further, I definitely want to do a shout out to Chris Grizzly and to Mary. They are the heart and soul of this network, and we want to thank them and send blessings and healing energy and our gratitude to them for creating and holding the space for this amazing network to start taking shape and evolving and making the platforms for myself and the various other hosts that are out there to be able to share our messages and share our spiritual gifts and skills and experiences with y'all. So the format of this show, usually the first 10 minutes or so, I talk about whatever's been on my mind and heart. And then I have tuned in and prayed and asked for some messages from Spirit. And I'm going to say welcome, Dean, and welcome, Roger, and welcome, Adriel. So it's kind of fun. For those of you old enough, I feel like the lady on Romper Room. It's like, oh, and I see Mary, and I see Joey, and I see Michael. And it's like, it's so fun when I see names pop up on the chat. If you do tune in on the chat and you have a comment, if there's a question or a comment that you want me to address on the show, please put it in caps because it helps it to pop out a little bit more, makes it a little bit easier for me to see it and then be able to answer it. So then after we go through a little talking in general, I'll go through some messages from Spirit. And it's really this cool thing that happens. And I just think it's one of the blessings that comes from the universe to us, that no matter when you're watching this show or listening to this podcast, when you hear these messages from Spirit, part of them are going to resonate with you. And it doesn't matter whether you're on tonight live, whether you're watching tomorrow, next week, next year, doesn't matter. When you hear these messages, allow for them to kind of sink into your heart, into your mind, into your gut, and let them go ding, ding, ding. Yep, that one message out of that grouping, that was for you. There's no accidents or coincidences here. It always works out that way. It's like this little wonderful magic of the universe because it always works out that way. Welcome, Dean. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to y'all too. Thank you. Okay, so what's been on my mind? Well, I think one of the traditions that I have towards the end of the year is I like to reflect on the past year. And let me tell you, 2025 was a blur. I cannot believe how fast that year went flying by. And there were a lot of challenges. There were a lot of hurts. There were a lot of things that have happened personally professionally, in the world, that it's so important when you are looking back, you want to take the lessons, you want to take the love, you want to take any resiliencies or wins or things that happen that you can go like, yeah, I made it through that, or I did pretty well with that challenge, or, I did better than I thought I would in coping with whatever the situation is. So we take all of those things, we forgive ourselves and others for any of the oopses or the things that didn't go as smoothly as we planned or hoped for, and then we move on, right? Then now we're in a new year, right? And when we're thinking of a new year, we have a unique opportunity for us to not necessarily have a clean slate, but to get some new momentum going in a direction that serves us. And yeah, it can be a clean slate. If you said, you know what, I don't want to do those behaviors anymore, or I'm done with that kind of relationship, or I don't want to have these bad habits, sure, clean slate is great. And as we go forward, we want to first imagine, what is the life we want to be living? What is the best possible version of ourselves that we could realistically become in the near term, in the next few months, in the next year, okay, in this next 2026? What's the best possible outcome we can have in our career, in our relationships, in our health, in our finances, in whatever metric you want to use, that you want to have some sort of vision of, this is what I imagine and want for myself. And then what we do is we set back and we project that out into, I want to say into the universe, into the cosmic field, into the consciousness, the fabric of consciousness of the quantum field that all thoughts reside in. And so we get that picture clear in our mind. We associate into it. What would it feel like? What would it smell like? How would I walk and talk and dress and interact with others with a certain amount of confidence, or feelings of accomplishment, or feelings of compassion and kindness and love for myself and love for others? How would that be different? How will I be better able to use my gifts to serve other people that I meet and create a legacy that says, I lived a life worth living. I made a difference. I had a positive impact on the lives of others, right? So those are some of the metrics that are good to put out there, and Matt put in to project out to be able to manifest into the new year. And welcome, Angela. Thank you so much. Appreciate the positivity there. So one of the things that's really important as we're letting go of the past, excuse me, and we're moving forward to project and manifest for what we want in the new year, is to frame things in positive, actionable ways, right? So instead of saying, I don't want to smoke anymore, if you were a smoker and that's a change you wanted to make, you could say, I want to be someone who enjoys breathing fresh air, and I am a non-smoker, right? So you claim that title, right? So we can't do a not, right? So if we say to a little kid, don't spill the milk, well, they have to make a vision inside their head of what does spilling the milk look like. And by the time they've done that, it's too late. It's all over the floor, right? Or if I said to you, don't think of blue, well, how many shades of blue just popped into your head before we got very far, right? Oh, there's navy blue and midnight blue and sky blue and etc. Right? You have a whole bunch, blue jean blue and sea blue and Mediterranean blue and right, all these different shades. And you're like, stop already. I don't want to be turquoise. No, stop, right? I said, don't think of blue. But we can't do a not. We can't do the negative. So it's really important as we go forward. All right, that you would say, what do you want instead? So if I didn't want you to think of blue, I'd say, oh, let's think about beautiful shades of red, cherry red and Corvette red and fire engine red and ruby red, etc. And we'd have our conversation and we keep our thoughts and what we're manifesting, trying to manifest, all about red instead of blue. And of course, once we mention blue, now we're back there, right? So now how does that apply practically to going forward? Well, you don't want to say, I don't want to be in debt in 2026. I don't want to have bill collectors calling my house. I don't want to, I don't want to be short at the end of each month. I don't want to have to put everything on my credit cards because I don't have the cash to pay for it, etc. Right? So with all those don'ts, I don't want, when you're trying to go forward, it really confuses the fabric of the quantum field of, well, what are you trying to actually manifest? Because it can't do a not either. So if you say, instead of, I don't want to be in debt, you say, I want to be debt free, right? That helps. I want to have a good flow of money. I want to have prosperity. And prosperity might be, I have $1 more than what my needs are. It might be, I have 1,000 times more than what my needs are. And it doesn't matter. Whatever it is for you, that's your definition of it. That's fine. That's your definition. That's what you want to manifest, right? So if you want to say, I don't want to be alone in 2026. Okay. Again, you can't do a not. So instead say, how about in 2026, I am attracting the most amazing friends, lovers, partners, whatnot into my life. Right. And so instead of that negativity of trying to avoid the things and the pitfalls that have weighed you down, maybe in 2025, you really flip it around to, what is it that you want in 2026? I want to be healthier. I want to make better choices. I want to use my time more efficiently. Right. So you can phrase it, I don't want to waste time, but that's not a positive, right? That's not a good way to phrase it if you want to manifest. You want to say, I want to use my time efficiently, creatively, more in service to my soul's purpose. You can phrase it however you like, but I plead with you, because I've learned this the hard way. Phrase it, think about it, put it out into the fabric of the quantum field and the consciousness field that's out there. Project it as a positive, as something that you would want to have as an attribute, a positive quality, an action or behavior, something that you're manifesting in your life. If you find yourself thinking about it, or if you write it down even, and you're like, I don't want, or stop yourself immediately and say, oh, well, if I don't want that, what do I want instead? And you write that down, right? And that's the thing to kind of put out there if you want to manifest it in 2026. All right. So I just wanted to go through now a little bit of the messages that came from Spirit. And I'm really excited about these, right? I don't go into a lot of thought ahead of time. I pray, I ask for inspiration, and then I pick some oracle cards and tarot cards and I read it. But I loved, as soon as I flipped the first one over, I was like, yeah, I love this one. The very first one I flipped is the presence of angels. And it says, you are being watched over by heavenly beings. Remember to ask for guidance and let them show you the way to progress in your life. Practice talking to your angels through meditating and prayer. Okay. So for me, knowing that and believing that there are angels and benevolent beings in spirit and in other dimensions, so they can be other dimensional, interdimensional benevolent beings that are here to help us, help me specifically, help us collectively, help humanity, help the planet Earth. It gives me a lot of peace and comfort to know that no matter how crazy it gets out there, there's that guardian angel. There are both the angels in spirit and the angels on earth. Those people that just show up in your life at exactly the right time, they're in the right place, saying the right things, or helping you at the precise moment. Sometimes they're there waiting before you even know you need that help. These are the people, the angels on earth that are sent to help us. And being aware of that and having gratitude for that, it can really help create a sense of peace. Even when things look rocky around us, it can give us a sense of peace, knowing that there are angels on both sides of the veil that are there to assist us, to help us, especially when we call out to them. And if you haven't really ever read up too much on angels, or you're not sure whether you believe in them or not, I would just say, read up about them, Google them, experiment, pray, call out, ask for spirits insight, and just see what you resonate with and what kind of experiences you personally can have. I find that whenever we call out with a sincere and open heart, with a true desire, curiosity, and a sense of just wanting to know and wanting to connect, spirit does. They don't leave us hanging. They'll actually be like, oh, you called? Yeah, sure. We'll come. We'll help. We're here for you. Okay. Then the next card that I chose with Spirit's prompting out of the deck was the angel card that says, let your past go. Perfect card for the new year, right? Letting go of anything that happened in 2025 and prior to that. Okay. So letting your past go. The burden of carting your past around can make you weary. Dear one, it's time to let go and set your burden down. Keep only the lessons and the love and leave everything else behind. You don't want it or need it, so now let it be gone. And that's a perfect reminder. And it's in a way, it was very much in sync with my first message of what we need to do for that new year, right? You reflect, you take the lessons, you take the love, you leave the rest behind, right? Because it doesn't serve you to hold on to negativity, anger, bitter thoughts, resentments. It never, being angry at somebody doesn't hurt them. It only hurts us, right? All those negative feelings that we hold on to, they're not impacting the other people that are involved. They're only impacting us and the loved ones that are around us, our friends and family that are interacting with us on a day-to-day basis. And then this next card I really love for the new year because it's curiosity, right? What will this new year bring, right? See life through the curious eyes of a child, and you will discover a never-ending source of happiness and excitement. Curiosity keeps you alive, interested, and interesting. Your angels are inviting you to be curious even about yourself. Start exploring who you are and who you can grow into personally and spiritually. So curiosity, what is possible? How much have you limited yourself or other people around you in the past? How many dreams have you given up on because you're like, I don't know if I could do it, right? This is saying, well, instead of giving up on dreams or having a low bar as you go through life, have that curiosity of, gee, I wonder what's possible. Ask better questions as you go forward. So, I wonder what I could do if I really put my mind and energy to it and I stuck with it. How far would I go? I personally, I love languages, right? And I would love to learn different foreign languages. It just astonishes me when I see people who can kind of flip from one language to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'm like, wow, that's like such a gift to me to see that, what they can do. And yet I signed up for Babbel, and I have an online subscription, and I studied Spanish before going to Mexico. And I actually did well. I studied it for a year, and I got to the point where I was fairly conversational. And I went to Mexico and had a great time and interacted and navigated just fine. And I got back home, and I haven't touched an exercise in a year and a half. And the other day I was trying to come up with a phrase because I was hearing somebody in Spanish, and I was like, oh man, it was like, dusting off the cobwebs. And I thought to myself, if only I had stuck with it and continued doing that 15 to 30 minutes every day, I would be not only conversational in Spanish for the resort that I was going to, and those couple of phrases and key things I needed to know how to say and understand to navigate there, I would have truly been much more fluent in the language. And now the thought of going back and starting again, it's like, but that also tells me it's not that important to me. Because if it was, I don't know if this happens for y'all, but it happens for me. The things that are really important to us, that's where we spend our time. And if it's not important to us, we might put a little bit of an effort in for a while, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't last. So if you wonder what's really important to you, look at how you spend your time. Look at the people you spend your time with. That's going to tell you an awful lot about where you're going and what you're going to be continuing to manifest as you go forward. And if you don't like that picture, the great news is you don't have to be stuck with that. We have free will. We have free choice and agency. We can make changes at any time we choose. We just have to make the choice and then stick with it. So it starts out with the thought process, and then what are the actions we need to modify that support that new way of thinking or that new behavior that we'd like to instill and have become part of our life. And with anything that's new, understand you might be on a tear for a while, right? It's the new year. A lot of people make resolutions. God bless you. I wish you tremendous luck with those. And I hope you are successful with those. And I'm going to help you become more successful with some of them, because this is the pattern that typically happens. And after being a life coach for 40 years, I've seen it over and over and over again. And I've lived it a few times too, right? You get all excited. Okay, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week for sure. And the first couple of weeks, maybe the first couple of months, yep, did it. And then something happens and you miss one day. And you're like, okay. And all of a sudden, that pattern, that habit starts to unravel a little bit. And instead of going 3 times a week or every day, you start going maybe once or twice a week. And then it's, maybe once a week. And then it's, I'll get around to it, right? Next thing you know, it's not a habit anymore. You're not going the 3 times a week that you wanted, right? Or, okay, I'm going to avoid sugar, added sugars and desserts. So I'll eat whatever food is out there, I'll eat good food, whether it's keto or it doesn't matter, whatever. It doesn't have to be a diet. The only thing you want to get better at is getting processed sugar out of your diet, which means no desserts essentially, right? So you might be good again the first couple of weeks, and then, Valentine's Day is coming up, or Easter's coming up, or your birthday's coming up, or right? There's some occasion where, I just want to have that ice cream cake, or that whatever it might be, or that heart filled with candy for Valentine's Day, or the homemade dish that somebody makes you as a homemade cupcake for your birthday. And you're like, okay, I'll have that. And then once you've tasted that sugar again and you have that back into your body and your system, it's that much harder to go back to, nope, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to do it. Right. So sometimes it's about discipline, but it's also about when you do have the oops, when you do recognize the fact that, I was planning on I had been going 3 times a week, and then it's 2 times a week, and now it's once a week. As soon as you have that awareness that you're not actually doing the behavior that you wanted to be doing, stop yourself and say, what do I need to do in order to circle back around and get back on track? No guilt trips here, no blaming anything else. We are not perfect. We all have our oopses. The key to real success is how fast you get back on track after you fall off, whatever the plan was, whether that is saving money to get out of debt, whether it's losing weight, whether it's getting a new job, whether it's learning a new instrument, a new language, a new anything, right? Or getting rid of an old habit, stopping something, I didn't do it. I'm not going to be on my device playing games for an hour a day or 2 hours a day or whatever. And, you're really great. You're getting all this other stuff done. And you find yourself sitting there with your tablet one day playing a game. And next thing you know, an hour or two have gone by and you're like, I fell off the wagon. I'm playing the damn games again. Okay, stop. So you had an oops. Put it away. Get back to whatever you were doing. And the next time you feel that urge to circle back around to it, it's like, okay, make it be a conscious choice, because you can always change your mind, right? We have that ability. And it's important for us to give ourselves a little, just a little grace and say, it's okay. Stop being so hard on yourself. It's really easy to be your own worst enemy. I've been there, I know. And it takes a very conscious effort and a intentional decision to start having the self-talk and treating yourself like your own best friend. How would you treat your best friend? What would you say to your best friend, your brother, your sister, somebody that you truly loved in the situation that you're in? If they were in the same situation, or if they had just done the same thing, would you be compassionate, supportive, loving, or would you tear them apart? Most of us would be loving and supportive. But when we do those same things, our self-talk often slips more into this really negative space. And we have to say, wait a minute, stop. How would my best friend talk to me right now? Let me talk to myself that way. Let me ask for a little grace. Let me figure out how I can get back on track. Let me ask for help when I need it, right? So these are the kinds of things to think about. So the curiosity for the future is that sense of what is possible. Let's see where it goes. Have a sense of excitement. Too often we can fall into a cynical pattern of doom and gloom. Oh, it's just another new year, and it's nothing's ever going to change. And I'm sure people like that. And maybe you are one of those people. And I would say to you, yeah, if that's what you put out there into the fabric of the consciousness around you, into that quantum field, yeah, that's what you'll create, because that's what you're holding in your consciousness. That's what your belief is. But if you can change that, and it doesn't take a lot to change that, it's just making up your mind to saying, how do you want it to be instead? And promising to yourself and following through to do at least one thing each day, one small step in the direction of where you want to be, where you want to go, the person you're trying to become, the skills you're trying to acquire or master. As long as each day you have some awareness of that. And that step might simply be, imagine what it's going to be like once you have that skill, once you're living that life, once you're no longer addicted to whatever the behavior or habit or substance happens to be, or the relationship. What's it going to be? Even just sitting and visualizing that's taking a step in the right direction, because you're putting that energy towards what you want to manifest. Okay, so those are the 3 angel cards. I also chose 3 tarot cards. And so the first one, it's for past, present, future, relevant to the now. The past was the Queen of Cups upside down. We were exhausted, guys. We were overwhelmed. We were running around. Our energy was low. We felt like we didn't have any reserves, right? Cups up. What happens when your cup's upside down? Everything runs out. So we were all running on empty these last couple of months. Then what's happening now? This is 6 of Cups. And this is the sense of celebration and harvest. This is like, amen, hallelujah, we made it through 2025. Let's celebrate. Let's put out good vibrations for the next year. And what we also attract in the future, this is the Knight of Pentacles. And I love this card because this is the card for the romantic partner to come, the business partner to come, success and prosperity to come, good health to come, adventures and travel to come. This is one of the most positive cards in the deck that we can have for the future. So that to me was like, all right, think positive about what this year is going to bring. Then what I did is I picked, I have 3 books that I like to refer to. One I wrote about 8 years ago, The Creative Not Now. It's a book all about life coaching tips on how to balance your finances, your health, relationships, your spirituality, and your time. And I cracked that one open and I got to the point that says, one thing to consider is that people in your life will mirror back to you how you treat yourself. If you are judgmental and self-critical, then it is likely the people around you will treat you that way as well. If you don't prioritize you into your own life, then don't expect them to care about or prioritize time with you. We train people how to treat us. Okay, so I thought that was a really great reminder that if we're in our life and we are not happy with what we're seeing, it all starts with how are we treating ourselves? Because people around us will mirror that. And again, we teach people how we want them to interact with us. And a lot of times it is a subconscious type of thing. And the more we make it conscious, the better. Okay. And I saw somebody asked, am I doing questions? Yes. I always will take questions on the show. All you need to do is type them in caps in the chat. And when I get to that point, which will be very shortly, I will address any questions that I see, or if you have topics that you want me to talk about, happy to do that. Put them in the chat as well, and I will gladly go there. The next book that I referred to and I popped open is A Portal to Potential. This is a book that I had written with inspired writings that came channeled through me by Spirit. And it contains uplifting passages, reminders of ancient wisdoms, practical advice. It's really one of those books that can help you ponder and figure out what is your soul purpose. How can I have more peace and happiness in my life? How can I have a little bit more joy and know that I'm doing the right things in life? So this book, I cracked this one open and I got to the page that says, there is a saying that there is nothing new under the sun. From time to time and generation to generation, we rediscover messages and meanings and make them relevant to our lives today. It is up to us to update them and apply them to the times in which we live. So I'm sure you've all heard the saying, those who forget history are doomed to repeat them, right? So, okay. And then the last thing before I get to the questions is a friend of mine wrote a book called Higher Self-Discovery, and I cracked it open. And the section that I cracked open to is all about inner journeying. And he says here in his book, and this was written by Craig Gingulis, and it says, a powerful method of communicating with your body consciousness is to use your creative imagination to journey into your subconscious realms. You can do this by creating a series of rooms or nature settings within your body to help heal your inner child, meet your spirit guides, and further discover your hidden potential. So this book has lots of practical hints and tips. And again, it's called Higher Self-Discovery, The Art of Self-Discovery, and written by Craig Gingulis. And all 3 of those books are available on Amazon. All right. As far as those messages, I hope that some of them resonated with you. So now let's look to see what kind of questions are out on the chat here today. All right. So let's see here. Is spirit different than an angel? Okay. So to me, there's energies that come to us, and I'm going to call them benevolent interdimensional energies. And how we interpret what that energy is to us, is it an angel? Is it a loved one in spirit who's passed through the veil? Is it the Holy Spirit? Is it a guide or angel guide? Is it a even in sometimes even some of the interdimensional spirits can be like the nature spirits, and a lot of the Celtic traditions, they have like the fairies and the gnomes and whatnot. And then you have even the alien encounters that people have had with benevolent aliens, and the star people who have come and visited, that certain cultures talk about as the teachers from the stars that have come down and brought things to them. So I think how you name or think about the energy will really depend on what your upbringing is, what systems you resonate with. I personally was raised Catholic, and so angels were a big part of that upbringing for me. So I believe in Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael and Archangel Gabriel and the various angels that you can read about in the Christian Bibles and the Old Testament, New Testament, etc. Right. So I believe personally that there are angels. I believe that we all have a guardian angel that's with us. But I do know there's other spirits that come into our energy field that are benevolent. And some of them are the spirits of pets and animals that we've loved in our life that come in to check in on us, spirits of human loved ones that have come. And then sometimes there are guides and spirits that were not incarnate the same time that we are on the planet, but we know these spirits and these beings and energies from when we were in between worlds, when we were in the spirit dimension, before we came into this body, and our soul says, hey, I'm going down into body, have my six, be my safety net, come around me and help me out, especially when I get to certain challenges in my life, or if I call out for help, come and be there for me. So to me, an angel is a kind of spirit, but I believe that there are other kinds of spirits as well. So I hope that answered that question. Okay. Okay. I think this is a personal one going back and forth between people. Okay. Somebody asked, am I doing questions? Yes, I am. Okay. And somebody is asking, are you a witch or a medium? Okay. So I'm not a witch per se. In that, and I think the connotation that people have of that, I don't do spells, I don't make potions. What I think, if you look back into the original lexicon, the words that they used for witches back in the day were like the wise women, or people that understood about herbs and healing and nature and energy and crystals and how to help. And so from that point of view, I would say I'm a metaphysician because I've studied so many different disciplines over the 42 years I've been of service. And so I understand a little bit about homeopathy. I understand about certain plants and herbs and what can be healing. I've done deep dives on crystals, and I understand how those work. I've looked at different divination tools. So I love using things like the angel cards and oracle cards and tarot cards. I have and use, and when it's necessary and helpful, I have pendulums that I can use. I've learned how to do picture reading and aura reading. I am a trained medium, and I've talked to spirits of loved ones, both animals and people, as they've come through. I've studied hypnotherapy and all kinds of different kinds of healing methods and regressions. And so if you were to go into my website there, altheajacob.com, and look into the certifications I have and all the history that I have, I don't think that we can just limit ourselves to that. I look at myself as a metaphysician, and that's kind of like a new agey term that's not used as much as now. So I've kind of shifted it to, I'm a spiritual life coach, and I have loads of tools in my tool belt, depending on, what's most needed, as the clients that come to me and need help. Okay. And so somebody says, how much do I need to donate to get my number? Oh, my number is easy. Just go to altheajacob.com, and on my website is all my contact information. You can email me, you can text or call me. I'm somebody that I try to make myself available to any clients or students that might need my help. Okay, so you don't have to donate anything just to get my number. That's out there. And then, okay, somebody is saying profiteering from God's word on YouTube is against scriptures in the Bible. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen the phrase YouTube in the Bible, but maybe, I know I'm being sarcastic here, and forgive me on this. I do believe that anybody that is profiteering, there's a difference between profiteering and being compensated for your gifts, right? So if your gift, and you've spent years of studying being an artist, and you create this beautiful painting, I don't think anybody would expect you just to give that away for free. And I don't think that if you have your spiritual gifts and you're somebody that goes to medical school and you've studied for years to become a doctor or a dentist or any other profession, that's where your gifts and your intellect and your years of study and practice led you, then of course you would not expect a doctor to give away their services for free and whatnot. And so I think for a while there, and I know I grew up with this because when I was a Reiki master and I studied different kinds of healing techniques over the years, results system of healing, the reconnective healing, matrix energetics. I really went and dabbled and learned. I went to hypnotherapy trainings, neuro-linguistic programming, anything that I thought would be a good tool to help others. And so I've spent a lot of money to learn these different tools and refine the gifts I have in the service of others. So I wouldn't just give those away for free. So I don't look at that as profiteering when anybody uses their gifts. It really depends on what's going on. And I will tell you that over the years, things have changed a little bit. So in the beginning, I charged next to nothing because I was not as good, didn't have as much experience. I was still learning and honing my craft. And as I got better and better and learned more and had invested more, kind of instead of just being in kindergarten, now I was going to master's classes, so to speak. I got my degrees. Then I could charge more, because also, at least in the Western cultures, the more you charged, there was more value perceived. And if you gave things away, people didn't perceive value in it. And so I had to find what's the normal prevailing charges for things. And then after being in the field for 40 some odd years, I now have the luxury that if spirit prompts me and says, this person truly needs your services and they have nothing to barter in exchange, I give it for free. If they want to barter with me for something, I will do that. If they want to pay cash instead of bartering time, I'm happy to take that as well. But there's always an exchange of energies unless spirit prompts me otherwise. So I really believe that there's artists that every now and again will come and paint something beautiful and gift it to somebody because they're inspired to do so. I know there's doctors that go out there and every once in a while they'll say, I'm going to go with Doctors Without Borders and donate 3 months of my time or a month of my time to go help others, right? Of course, there's that whole spectrum. But if you are somebody who said, my skills were in engineering or in plumbing or in carpentry, okay, would you expect a carpenter, a builder to build your house for free? Like, oh, I'll just pay for the supplies, but all your labor should be for free. No, of course not. Right. So I think it's really important that we look at how do we serve others, and we have to be open to the prompting of spirit, to when we open our heart and we do things pro bono, for free, for barter, for drastically reduced prices, because it's the right thing to do in that situation. But I don't think that we should judge anybody out there for what they're charging or giving away for free or anything in between. I've struggled and I've thought about this. There's some Zoom workshops that I want to offer, and I've been going out and I've been looking to see, like, well, what's the average prices? And I took one that I paid $600 for a 6-week class. It was $100 a night. And she had 12 people from around the states that were taking it. And I was like, all right. I said, to me, that was a little high. And then I offered a workshop for $25 a while back, and only one person signed up. And I'm like, oh, okay. Perceived value, right? If you charge too little or give it away for free, people are not as interested. But if you charge too much, you can price people right out of being able to tune into you. So to me, I'm looking for what's the sweet spot. What's something where I can still feel good that there's an exchange. I can still pay my bills and buy my food. It's a different time than, years ago. If you were in communal living and you were the shaman, well, you wouldn't charge the other people in the tribe, but you also didn't have to work for your housing or your food. As the shaman, you were revered. You had a house provided to you by the tribe. You had food provided for you by the tribe, right? So we don't live in a society where we let our psychics and our healers and our mystics live and provide them. Here's your phone, and here's your electricity, and here's your food, and here's your housing, and here's everything you need. So now use your spiritual gifts to go out there and heal the masses, or help in whatever way your gifts are meant to serve. We don't do that. I wish we did that with our artists. How many people do you hear about that are starving artists, right? They love their art. That's what they love to do. And, they can't seem to find a way to make enough money by selling their art in order to pay for their apartment and pay for their bills and have the food to eat. Right. So it's an interesting dynamic, but I think that we all have gifts from God, and we all, even Jesus, if you look back in the scriptures, yeah, he healed loads and loads of people. And very often, if you follow along, he went into somebody's home and there was an exchange of the shelter, of the meal. And it wasn't a quid pro quo, you do this for me and I do this for you. But he's also was the perfect exemplar. And he was somebody who could manifest anything. If he was hungry, he could manifest manna from heaven if you wanted it, right? He could do that. He was the son of God. So anyway, I feel like it's important that we don't judge people who are charging to use their gifts, because we live in a world where our gifts are the only way that using our gifts as service is the way that we survive. That's how we get the money to pay our bills. We don't live in a pure barter society anymore. But I like to bring back a little barter whenever I can, because if you have a skill or an item that would benefit me and my skills or stuff I have would benefit you, I'm always happy to trade, right? I think that exchange of energy is a lot nicer and cleaner. But the whole reason cultures went to finances and barter beads and barter tokens and money was just to make it easier. So if I was a farmer and I had many, many bushels full of apples, okay, well, yeah, I could survive on apples, but I would like some meat. So I'm going to trade my local farmer for a slab of meat for a bushel of apples, right? Yeah, but then it got a little cumbersome. Like, well, what if what I need is on the other side of town or another state or on the other side of the country? So then that's in the territories, that's when they started to go to that whole system of commerce and changed. All right. So other questions here. Let's see. Is it go ahead with the proposal. Okay, so somebody is asking, is Dr. Nadim father happy to go ahead with the proposal? So I'm not 100% sure. Oh, with his son. Okay, so the proposal with the son. So to me, this is feeling like more of a business arrangement. And I do feel like the father is happy, to go ahead and have things progress. So I just feel a positive energy all around that whole situation. Okay. Then we have, okay, well, welcome. Let's see, who is this? First time in the chat. Well, welcome. Okay. Yep. Okay. When you say you're a trained medium, who trained? Okay. And also, all right, so and then a follow-on question here of, also had someone read my palm at a bar and had a real bad luck ever since. Did they put a spell on me under the disguise of, okay. So, and then he also asked, okay, lots of questions here from Coolgate. And then what are my thoughts on Jesus and Satan? And okay. All right, so let's kind of go back to so being trained in any metaphysical discipline. There are various schools, there are books, there are certifications, there are private teachers and mentors. In this day and age, there's YouTube videos. There are so many access that people have, training videos, Zoom workshops, you name it, right? So I've been studying with a variety of teachers and mentors for the last 42 years. You see some of my books behind me. That's a small fraction of the books that are in my house. I have old tape series and DVD series. I studied with people like Stuart Wilde back in the day. He was pretty amazing guy. Studied with Dr. Richard Bandler. If you go to if you want to see my credentials, please do go to altheajacob.com. There's a whole section that has all of my certifications and who I trained with and where I've been and what I've done. To me, it's really important that you turn to somebody for help, whether it's a healer, whether it's a life coach, whether it's a mentor, whether it's even somebody just for a reading or a session. You want somebody that resonates with your energy. So when you kind of tune into them, you go, yep, this person is authentic, feels right, and it makes sense to you. It feels right to your heart. It rings true to your gut. The true aspect of your intuition goes, yep, this person has something to offer me. These are the skills or abilities that I would like to learn from them, or the experiences I would like to hire them to facilitate for me. As far as thoughts about Jesus and Satan, they exist. They are, Jesus is a historical figure as well as a biblical figure. Satan, I believe Satan is a personification of evil. In scripture, it says he is the fallen angel, Lucifer, morning star, that fell from heaven and rebelled and led the rebellion, in heaven. Honestly, guys, my thoughts on hell and heaven and what's on the other side of the veil, I am so sure that nobody has it right, because we are finite minds trying to understand the infinite. And by definition, it's impossible. We can have glimpses, we can kind of know bits and pieces, but there's no way we can know the totality of what is back in the spiritual realm while we're here in the limitations of the physical body and this physical dimension. So I think that if we look at all of the different religions around the world and the different ancient peoples, their cave paintings and their scrolls and the things that have been preserved on clay tablets and the stories that you see, and the themes that you see over and over and over again in the sacred texts and the scriptures and the things that have been preserved, whether it's through oral traditions or written down or preserved in some way and passed down, the things that are similar, the same kinds of messages and stories that you hear over and over again, those are the ones that cross geographies and cross peoples and cross times over millennium. Those are probably the ones that are closest to what it's really like. But again, we're finite minds trying to put words on it and explain it. And one time I asked the Holy Spirit, how can I explain what it's like on the other side of the veil? Because I feel like I'm bouncing on a trampoline and peeking over one fence of the zoo, and I see the giraffes and I can describe the giraffes, but I have no clue about what's beyond the giraffe enclosure. And so to describe all of the zoo by just the giraffe, that is leaving out so much of the story. It's not worth it. And when Spirit showed me this picture of a goldfish in a bowl and said, you could try to explain to that goldfish till you're blue in the face what it's like to swim out in the ocean with all the coral reefs and other fish and algae and you name it, the tides and the other predator fish. You could try to explain what all of that would be like to that goldfish. But since all it's ever known is in this one world, it would have no way to even make sense of what you were saying, right? And I think that's kind of what it's like for our bodies and our minds to perceive what it's going to be like when we're back on the spirit world and we're in those spiritual dimensions. So I think that Satan has been the personification of evil for a lot of people, and Jesus has been one of the Christed beings that have been the personification of good. And if there wasn't darkness, there wouldn't be light. If you didn't have challenges in your life, you wouldn't be grateful for the blessings. And so I think you need two sides of the coin. So I do believe that there are energies that are out there that have those characteristics, but I don't think they are as maybe as described by some other people. That's my sense anyway. Okay. And then let's see, any final question? Okay. And I'll miss, yeah, we do. And somebody was saying that they miss seeing Grizz. And you know what, Pancho, I'm sure that in a little time, Grizz has been dealing with some health issues. So let's all, send lots of good prayers and positive, good mojos and good vibrations to him and to Mary. They're still getting through a lot and sorting out a lot of things. But I'm sure he'll start, getting back to shows when he's up to it. And I know they have great plans and visions for the future of what this can become for this whole Bigfoot family and our network. So stay positive and keep the faith there. All right, y'all, that's been our hour. Wow, that went fast as usual. Once again, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Please do all those nice social media things, ring the bell, like, follow, subscribe, share, let people know. The live show is every Thursday night, and I'm more than happy to answer questions, do readings, do whatever people want in the chat after we've shared the first little bit. I'm very happy to answer whatever questions I have. You're welcome. And I want you all to think as you go into this new year, do your best to become the best possible version of you. Shine your light, share your love and your gifts. Do your best to have a positive impact in the lives of others. Be kind, be unconditionally loving and forgiving to yourself and to others. And have a blessed week, a blessed life. If I ever hear from you again, and rest you all. Have a great evening, and hopefully I'll see you again next week. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. God bless. Bye now.